Hey folks, welcome back. This is my first attempt at a tier list, and I want to go over the light fighters because that is my favorite game loop right now in the game. And this tier list is going to be grounded in I've created 5 criterias, and it's about what's actually functional in game with the current playability loops and feature sets that actually exist. So, like a lot of times, YouTubers will talk about game loops or ships with their feature sets that don't exist in the game and may not come for years down the road, like modularity in ships, or like ship tractor beams, or because a lot of this stuff has been a long time in the works. Like, for example, the links that just dropped has been in production, or has been on the let me digress, has been on the list for ship production for 9 years. So I don't want to falsely project like this is an amazing ship and it's fantastic and it's great when it doesn't have feature sets that don't exist. So of course all of this is my opinion, my personal opinion, and my perspective. So take it for a grain of salt. But I got close to probably 6,000 hours of playtime in Star Citizen, and I've been playing pretty heavy since 315. I've been a backer since 2017. So just give some context. And so some ships, they you can't be obtained no more, and they can only be get obtained certain times a year. And I'm not advocating buying any of these out of pocket with real money, but it kind of gives you, if you decide to go that route, because there's nothing that frustrates me more is to spend a couple $100 and then to realize that something isn't feature complete after watching a bunch of YouTubers project all of this capability that doesn't exist yet. And you notice it a lot, because a lot of YouTubers will monetize their channel, and I'm not monetized. There's no money to be made off my channel. To where they'll it's their business, so therefore they are trying to do a lot of clickbaity stuff, and that's not this channel. It is what it is. So I just like to play, and then I record my stuff as I play. So with the kind of the introduction out of the way, let's break into this. This is only going to be light fighters. So, and I've owned and cycled through a lot of these ships, and what kind of prompted me to and this will not be multi-role, okay? Because I think that's its own video. And so we'll start. I want to start with Hornet because I think it's a good. Let me find it in here. The Hornet. Okay, so we'll put the Hornet, and we're gonna put this in D tier. And I know I just said light fighters, but it kind of falls. We'll go fighters. We'll go fighters. Single occupancy fighters. How's that? Because that way it gives a little bit more. We're gonna go D tier, and the reason why is we'll go over these 5 criterias. So fighters, so flight models and characteristics. And so the flight model, I've done 2 videos or 3 videos on this. The flight model is actually busted on this. So when you go to lower your landing gear to land, it actually freezes up and then starts to drift upward, and you can't lock it out of that freeze unless you put the landing gear back down, and it's 50-50 that you get control back over the aircraft. So you could be descending in motion and then hit that landing gear, the wings extract, and it freezes. Okay, so the flight model's busted. The second aspect of this, so let's put all of these in here, right? And the reason kind of led me down this path is I bought the Anvil Everything pack, and it gave me 5 of these bastards, and they are all half suffer from the same issue, is they all have busted flight models. Plus, when you do fly, they're sluggish, and you can actually get a lot of the same weapon loadout and configuration on other ships, so you're not actually gaining anything except for they are pretty resilient. They have a lot of durability. They'll take a punishment. My second issue is I talk about ship fidelity, and a good example of ship fidelity is, you know how on some ships when you go to them and they have the little buttons when you highlight over it, and the door opens up, and then they have like the little um, shield module you can see, or you open up and you click the door opens up and you can put the weapons racks in there, and they're very immersive, and the textures are really high, and um, and so they're just like they talk about gold standard and silver standard. Well, these ships, I mean, they're like copper standard, if that's not even a thing. But if you were to kind of put them in that precious metals bracket, they're like copper standard. They're rough. They're all super low texture fidelity. Like even when you quantum drive, the little thing will spool up, and it's like a 720p texture. It's like blown out, and it's just hot garbage. The whole thing's a mess. I think they originally designed it back in 2014. They haven't gone back to it. It badly needs a rework. So I highly recommend don't spend any money on any of the Hornets. And what's sad is they have like they'll have the tracker variant. Well, tracker doesn't exist in the game. They have the ghost variant. Well, stealth. They took stealth out of the game. Like it kind of exists at a 0.0 level, but it's not really there. A lot of these features don't exist, and it's a horrible experience for the same money that you can spend on something else. Now, for the Buccaneer, we're gonna jump. So we're gonna go with the Buccaneer, and this is a light fighter. I'm gonna go A tier, and this is fantastic. And it's got a lot of boost. You can get in and out. Fidelity is incredible. It's lacking a little bit on some of the feature sets, like when you push panels and doors open up. But like the cockpit, all the displays, the quantum drive, textures are great. So even though, like, if this was a copper class, I would say this would be like a silver pass. Like it's not 100% complete, but it's like 90% complete. But the flight mechanic is phenomenal. The way that it handles and behaves, the default loadout is good. You don't need to change a thing, because sometimes you get ships and you need to change their weapon loadouts to get them to where they're at their little sweet spot. I mean, I would highly recommend this. You wouldn't be dissatisfied with this. This is a very good experience. Even when it takes damage, you don't get any kind of weird like torque imbalances. Usually, I mean, you really got to be busted up to where you're like on your last 10% hit points for you to start getting weird flight model characteristics compared to the Hornet series. So let's go with the 325 Alpha. Where did you go? Where they got? Okay. We're going to go with the 325 Alpha. Where are you? Because I've bought these, played them, and then a lot of times that's the racing variant. Here it is. I'm going to say this is B. And it's got a good default loadout. And it's a good experience. The fidelity is incredible on this. Like I would say that it's like a silver plus. It's not quite a gold, or if it is, it's pretty close, and it's got a lot more functionality than to do bunker missions. I would pick the 325A over the Buccaneer. If I wanted to go do box missions, I would pick the 325A. But so it has a little bit more utilitarian than the Buccaneer. So you kind of breach, on that spectrum, you kind of breach more into the general functionality. Like the 325's got a bed, and I often like things that have a bed, because sometimes the game will bug out and you just need to log out and log back in to fix the bug. And the 325A is you can just log out real quick and log back in, and you don't have to go through the whole elevator simulator game and the 3 tran rides and the spaceport and the 20 minutes that takes you to get outside off planet. You can bypass all that if you have a bed sometimes. So highly recommend this. the Buccaneers got more firepower. The only negative drawback with this is that it does. I would say there's two. That one is it's a little soft. It's a little soft. And then two is that you have to go through that ladder animation to get in and out. But everything else is great. Like all the components work. The modularity is great. It's got the little 4SCU of cargo. It's actually $40 cheaper. So it's we might come back to this, but I would give it a B for its overall combat flight characteristics. But it's a good buy. It's a good buy. I would say, I believe this is the 125A, and you could put the, I would say this is a C, and the only reason is that it doesn't come with a bed. It's got a little cargo, and it's a little softer and the price point is like for $10 more you get the 325. But still, it's still a good ship. It's still a good experience. It's just functionality and capability just drops down a little bit more. And in the price point, it's like it should really be like a $40 ship for the capability and fidelity and the price point. So as we, let's see here. And there's like 5 variances of this. You have the 325A, you have the 100i, and they kind of like on a scale from your your fighter to more of your utilitarian. Let's see, here are the other ones, and these are all, I would say these all fall into the C category, and reason being is that with the 325A being in the front and the kind of your general purpose, like let's say you like to do more bunker missions, and you lean more in that way, in that direction, on that spectrum, the 100i is more your flavor. Okay. Let me find, here's another Hornet. And it's sad that when they have these cells and they have all these Hornets up here, really there's a paint job difference and maybe a little bit of a weapon loadout. A lot of these, they just come with 2 size 3 guns. The only 2 that are really geared up nicely are the C variant and then the S variant, which has the ability for the second pilot, or the second gunner who takes control of the gun. But outside, they're all busted. They're all busted flight. It's super frustrating considering that it's so much content of the game. Let's see here. Let's go with, we got the Gladius here. We'll put this. This is the racing variant. We'll put that in there. What else we got here? Oh, the Titan. I've bought these, and they're functional. They're just not enjoyable to drive. Like they talk about the great starter multi-role ship. I actually think the Pisces is a much better experience out of the gate than the Titan series of ships. And they're a little bit cheaper price point to get into. Just not a fan of the Titans. They're not. They got a decent loadout. They just handle like doo-doo. They got generally the fidelity. I would say that they're like a brass level. If we're giving it a precious metal, they're like a brass level, fidelity level. They're not up there as well as the Crusaders. They don't have like you have internal storage, and then you have external storage, and then the compartments open up. Like a lot of these they have this kind of the same level of fidelity as the Hornets. Not a big fan of the Titans. Okay, let's put the Mustangs. Mustangs are in the same category. They're very poor on the fidelity. One of them has an internal. I've bought in the Delta variant, which is the combat. It flies better than the Hornets. The issue that you run into, as soon as you lose a wing, you're done, and those wings are like paper mache. They just go so quick. And it's like, meh. They're soft. I was not impressed. I try to do like you really struggle on the bounties, anything over MRT. Like you can do higher, but it's just they go quick. Um, let's see. So not would not recommend any of the Mustangs. Arguably, I might drop them down into deep, but we'll come back to that. Let's see here. Um, even though the man, I know this is a torp fighter. We'll put that there. This is the missiles that missile. I enjoy missile gameplay, and it's kind of gone with 319. It's kind of gone through a little bit of they increased because they changed the way the ballistics work. Missiles kind of behave differently now too, and so they went through and they had this heavy focus on lasers and ballistics, and missiles were an afterthought. And so when 318 hit, it was like you had a little. It was a different experience than 318.1, and missiles kind of came back online where they're a little bit more functional. And I noticed there was a little bit like a little bit of a soft update on missiles in 319. Um, but I enjoy. It's just so expensive. It's you could buy 3 of these for the price of one of these. It's so expensive. Um, Let me see here. The problem is you can't get this. This is was an part of a promotion for an Intel CPU, so you can't get this. So although it's neat, it's not really obtainable. So let's just put that there. I don't have it. I know it's got an electronic warfare element. Electronic warfare in the game is. I actually put this here. Let's actually do this. We'll put in the front here. The electronic warfare in the game is hit or miss. I've been really struggling it. If you're using the disruptor lasers, it's very functional and it's a good way to go. But if you try to use the EMTs and use it to shut down systems, it's just so hit or miss. It's not functional. So I'm gonna put that there, and it's you're gonna have to pay. You're gonna pay a lot of money to get this, like $1,000. Oh, here, put the Mustangs back here. Don't recommend the Mustangs at all. I would recommend the 100i over a Mustang. Light fighters. We're gonna put these little Spitfires down here in the C category, just because they don't have quantum drives. They're fast, but they have issues. They have issues. So they're really just kind of provide protection for the large capital or large ship like a Carrack or something. Just in a. But you could question, would a guy be better on a turret or would a guy be better in one of these? I mean, that's up to the skill of the pilot. Let's see what we got here. Oh, I don't recognize this icon right here. Oh, I think this is the 50M. This kind of falls into the same category. Moderate level fidelity, super quick, annoying in bounty missions. For those of you who don't know, there's a couple different mission sets. There's mercenary missions, and those are first-person shooter, and then there's bounty missions, and those are your dogfighting, like aerial combat type of missions. And that's my favorite gameplay loop. And then my second favorite gameplay loop is the mercenary first-person shooter. My third favorite gameplay loop is probably the truck driving. Fourth is the salvage. And then, but with all the 30Ks, I would not recommend any truck driving loops. Let's see what we got here. Here's another Mustang. And you can see they've replicated all of these out so that it creates more volume, but they're kind of the same ship with different loadouts. So it unfortunately, same thing on the Auroras. Man, they're an okay starter ship. But the issue with them is they have a bed, which is good. They don't have very good fidelity, like the compartments that open up and stuff. They're not really. They're just starter ships. They're just to teach you how to fly, get you introduced into the game. Most people, you don't hardly ever see anybody flying them. Most of the time when you see them, they're in low level, very easy HRTs. Or was it very VHRTs. They're in the our LRTs. You see them as like an auxiliary or a wingman to a low level. So I wouldn't recommend it. Don't waste your time or money. I was actually thinking about buying one and just doing. I've done an HRT in them before just to see if I could do it, but I'll put this here too. This is another parasite fighter. You know, it's meant to be attached or support a ship. It's not really. It's just a kind of a wonky thing. Let me see here. Let's go with the. I'll give this a B. I'll give it. You know, you get into the. This is the Hawk. You know, it's got decent level fidelity. The flight mechanic works pretty good, and it does have the ERT element. If you're more of a PvPer, but you never see hardly anybody flying it too often. It's got a decent weapons loadout. It's got decent capacitors. It's got that pod in the back for taking prisoners, so its gameplay mechanic isn't fully implemented yet. I give it a B. I give it a B. What do we got here? What is this? Some of these. Oh, this is the Gladiator. There's a Gladiator and a Gladius. Anvil Gladiator. I'm gonna put this up here, and reason being is two reasons. It's a missile boat. It's kind of, I would say it's not full of medium fighter. It's kind of in between a medium and a light fighter. No fidelity. You know, they made this thing and haven't gone back and touched it at all. I mean, it is, if you were to give it like a precious metal standing, you know, like brass, copper, silver, gold, platinum, this shit's like copper. I mean, it is does have a turret, so you can bring a guy with you, but it doesn't slave to the driver or the pilot the same way that the S variant of the Hornet does. And if they would do that, and kind of give it another pass, I would say it might be a B tier. Because I do, like, it's got the size 5 torpedoes. I do enjoy the missile and the torpedo gameplay. I like how it kind of expands the, not only can you dogfight, but then you can kind of also do a little bit of stealth slash torp throwing. So if they would go back and just give this a little bit of love, this could easily be moved up into a B tier. But it's hard. It would be just so hard to recommend. I would arguably recommend. You know what? I think it'd have to be like this, to be honest. I think I would recommend 100i over the Gladiator. Right? You can't get them confused because there's a Gladius and Gladiator, and this is an Anvil ship, and the Gladius is an Aegis ship. So let's see here. You know what? This is a data running ship, but there's no gameplay loop. So we'll just, like, don't buy this thing. I do not recommend this at all. Even though, I mean, you're not really doing it. It's got some guns on it. Don't buy that. You won't be happy. You'll just melt it. But it is a single person. These are all single seat experiences. Even though this does have a turret, but let's see here. I mean, let me look through here. We could talk about the Terrapin. It's actually, the fidelity on it's fantastic. It doesn't have its gameplay loop. Okay, the Razors. You know, this is we'll put them right here. So fidelity is actually fantastic, super fast. They're supposed to there's a stealth variant that comes with shotguns. I don't know where it's at in here. Oh, here's the Titan. I would not recommend any of the Titans. It's just, I know people talk great starter ship. I just, I've owned them, and they feel dated. They feel like they're 1,000 years. There's just so much better things that you can spend your time and energy and money on. Let me see here. Let's see here. Okay. Arrow. Um, this could go. This could go. Arrow's fantastic. It's and there's this is the second part of the story. Arrow's fantastic. Fidelity, I give the fidelity. I give it a silver rating. I feel that in my opinion, the Buccaneer has a little bit better fidelity. The issue that you kind of run into is it's got the gimbal turret on the top, and then you do non-gimbaled on the bottom, and it's super hard to do gimbaled and non-gimbaled. You either have to gimbal everything or not, or lock the top turret, because you can't. It's not either or. And when you try to split it and do it together, it's just too much. So I gimbal everything and then run it gimbal, and you have more time on target, even though you have to downgrade the weapon sizes. But it's super agile and fast. But the fidelity is meh. I give it like a brass copper. It's definitely not a silver status, but the flight model is fantastic. It's arguably one of the go-to PvP. It does more damage than the Gladius. But the fidelity is kind of lacking. But it's a good ship. Price point is good. I think it's like $75. Price point. This is $110. So it's you get a ship that's arguably really close to the same capability for $40 less, $50 less, $35. Yeah. So it's let's see what we got here. It's not super sexy. It's highly capable. Let's talk about the Gladius, right? This is the Aegis, and I held off on this for a long time. So there's a couple variants of this, and they're all the same ship. It's just how you get to them are different. So the red one is just these two are basically just skins. These are just basically skins. Come on, okay. So these are just paint jobs with a little bit different weapon configuration, but you can go to the spaceport and buy whatever weapons you want to put on it. And so this is I think the default price for this is $90. The default price for this is like 110, and then I forget. I think this is 100. And what's weird is they're literally the same ship, but then when you have the recall timers, they make you wait like 11 minutes for this and 6 minutes for this. I don't understand it. So like I had bought this, and I ended up melting it and buying the standard edition because the claim timers were almost half, and I was able to pick it up with the 10-year insurance from Invictus, where they don't give you just get the default 6 months insurance, even though you pay $35 more. But the fidelity on this ship is phenomenal. They are using this in the Squadron 42. And so they have gone, even though this is one of the oldest ships in the game, they have gone through and updated this. So I would say that this is close to a gold standard ship. Or if not, like it's got the weapons rack, all the modules open up. The only issue I've had with is when you open up the cargo, when you close out of it, you can't get back into it the second time. You actually have to stow the ship and then unstow the ship. There's like a little bug. But the flight model is fantastic. The display is phenomenal. Highly. This is a great experience. Like if you wanted to just fly, run bounty missions, ERTs, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can run several different loadouts on it. I kind of like to mix and match. I'll usually run a cannon and 2 laser cannons and 1 ballistic cannon because you get more capacitor size. Highly recommend. This is fantastic ship. It meets all the criterias of utility, cargo capacity. It's got the little 250, ease of use. It's small. It's not like because a lot of times you'll have the same functionality of something like this, but this is almost twice the size. This has 2 size 1 shield capacity, so it's 3,400 hit points. Or 3,300 hit points. This has 1 size 1 shield capacitor, does more DPS, so it's like the yin to the yang. More DPS, more shields. little less DPS, right? And so this is the yin to the yang. This is Aegis, this is Anvil, but these two compete with each other all the time. Let's, but they're all the same. They're, when you buy them, you're just getting a paint job different with a little weapons loadout, but you can change that stuff. Let's see here. Where are we at? Where are the Tanus? I can't tell if that's a Tanu or not. The Tanus. Oh, let's do this. Saber. Saber's a medium fighter. Man. This is kind of like halfway. It's got more. I would almost say this is like a B plus. Fidelity is fantastic. Weapon loadout is great. Atmospheric flight capacity is good. But it's really designed for that stealth mechanic, and that's not really implemented in the game. When they implement feature sets into the game, they'll have like a 0 implementation, a 1.0 implementation, a 2.0 they're kind of still on the 0 implementation of stealth. And so like they're probably on like a 2.0 implementation of missiles. And so these game it's not really fully, it's kind of the same way that the Hawk is. It's not really fully feature complete. Okay, here's another M50. These are kind of like where's the other one at? They're kind of racers. You see them as kind of like they fall in that same role as support ships in some of these. Like you'll see 1 or 2 of these flying around next to a Valkyrie, and they're small so they can fit into certain vehicles, but they moderate level fidelity. I wouldn't recommend. Where is okay? Here's the Delta variant of the Mustang. That's got the 2 ballistic rocket launchers on the wings. Man, but they're for being a military, no fidelity at all. They're kind of in that same like early level 2014 development, super low fidelity. Flight model is good. It just doesn't have any survivability. Here we go. So here, the Tanus. Man, Tanus, all the Tanus, doo-doo. I think that's a Tanu. Doo-doo. All the Tanus. Let me see if there's any more in here. There's like 5 variants, and they came out with all these variants. Only 2 of them are somewhat feature complete. The Reliant Tanu and the Core. The Core's got like little 6 cargo, SCU of cargo space. It's got the really wing like TIE fighter thing where you press the button and the wings rotate, and it so the cockpit rotates. The problem is when you log out in your bed in space on the Tanu, and then when you log back in, the cockpit is rotated and you're trapped in your cockpit. And so then there's no way to access the ship. And I made a video on this. And so it's basically like a broken flight model. And then another major issue is that its combat speed is so low. It's like 100, 135, or it's so low. You can't dodge anything. Can't get out of the way of anything. It's got a huge, with those wings, it's got a huge model to hit and cross hold to lock onto. It's just a disaster. It badly needs an update and rework and balancing. It does have a lot of missiles though. The Tanu version does have, if you like to throw missiles and bounce, that's one way this can be used. But it is it's got more fidelity. When I mean by full, like stuff that opens up and closes and its immersion and interaction. It does have a little bit more cargo space. It's you can be in the seat and then pop out of the sink and drink some fluid and then get back in the seat. So it's I think it's a better experience than the Hornets right now. The Hornets are a disaster. What else do we got here? I'm trying to stay with single seat fighters. I think this is a Tanu. the issue that you run into with these is they have like a news reporter variant and a science variant, and they don't exist in the gameplay. Like there's no gameplay loops. I think this is another one. Yeah, they don't exist. Like that shit doesn't exist in the game. So I just stay away. You'd be so disappointed uh, if you get those. You'll just end up melting it in like 6 months. And I know they have the data. I know. Okay, we're gonna change gears. We're gonna stop ranting about how shitty the Reliant is. The blade. The blade is, I had limited use of this for a couple weeks, and I thought, wow, this thing is incredible. Its flight mechanics and maneuverability are on par, probably better than the Arrow. It's got the default loadout. It's got, I think, eight Arrow size 1 missiles, which are like the best version of size 1 missiles, and they shoot out of the top. And even though the fidelity on this, like, compartments that open up, like it doesn't, in this last update they added where you can click on the door and it says cargo space. So even like these low fidelity ships, you still get access to cargo space, even though they haven't modeled it into the ship. They didn't do that. They didn't go through and update the blade to where you have internal cargo where you kind of access it through like you're getting into the cockpit. They never went through but even with that being said, the way that it looks and behaves and flies and the thrusters is just incredible. And my really only complaint is that the HUD is red, and they kind of need to make it like an off purple, because when your enemy targets are also red, so it makes it extremely difficult to search out and find your targets with the red, like all your speed and altitude and little quantum drive pips and all that stuff being red. Also, it's just super challenging to quickly to get back on target. But the flight mechanics are incredible. The weapons, they recently did an update, I think in 3.17, where they changed them, because they used to have 2 pips. And I can't do the 2 pip thing. And they changed it to where the photon cannons have the same pip as the little the Hornet repeaters. And so it's all beautifully synergized now, and it's fantastic. I guess the only real negative is maybe the price outside of the display. You can get used to the display, but what's crazy though is you can buy three Gladiators for the price of one blade. But it's I mean, if you're doing combat missions, you can devastate in it. Let's see here. You pay that alien tax though. See, I have bought this, and this is the S variant that has the and it's probably got the best fidelity, because they went through and kind of updated this a little bit of all of these Hornet, but it's still broken. Flight model's still broken, and it comes with the laser cannons over. It's got a good generic layout, but it's so frustrating to try to fly that thing and have the thing freeze up on you. Let me put this in the 300s are good ships. 300s are good ships. Like they're not bad at all. We're not gonna talk about the Hurricane. Good ship, but it's not. It's really that multi-role. I would argue that the Vanguards, like, they're multi-role, but really, I mean, you can really not. You don't need a multi-role. They're fantastic. That'll make that a separate video. Drop ship, we're not gonna talk about that. Cargoes, we're not gonna talk about that. This is a multi-role. I mean, your Corsair multi-role. Oh, here's another 300i. It's a good ship. You kind of lose some firepower, but it's a good ship. Um, I wouldn't say it's a starter ship. I mean, it falls in that price point, phenomenal. You know, let's see here. They just got so much stuff. You know, it's crazy though, and a lot of the stuff is not even in the game. Um, where are we at here? Oh, okay. This man, I've owned both of these, and I melted both of them. And they did a kind of a bait and switch. In my opinion, they did a bait and switch. And there's an issue with torque and balance on these that take a little bit of damage. But you can't hit anything with the cannons either. Is the problem? You can't hit anything with the cannons. Um, and the price point. You know, I ended up melting this one first, and I hung on to the Inferno for like another 6 months, and I found that after a while I just never flew it, and it would crazy as you'd go through the entire 3,000 rounds of ballistic ammo that Gatling gun trying to kill a target because they nerfed the gun so bad and widened that cone out so much that you just couldn't hit anything. You'd just be like for 10 minutes straight trying to put down a target with a was it a size 7 gun. And you could, I was like, man, and then you take a little bit of damage and all of a sudden it's doing this like this torque thing where the butt's flicking out to the left, and it's just a shitty experience for that price point. Where's the other one at? I don't see the other one in here. Um, you know, the Pisces, man, the Pisces, they're not light fighters. They're just like little, but they're fantastic. I'm just gonna give them an honorable mention. The Pisces for the price point and what you can do with them and the SCU, and they have that new little medevac version. Like, they're wonderful. They're wonderful, and they're not fighters. I shouldn't really even be talking about them, but you got a little you got a co-pilot or a you can this one of them can take 3 people with you and 4 SCU. The other one you can do medevac. Like they come with 4 guns. You got 4 size 1 guns and 2 torpedoes. Like, they're just paper thin. They're like aluminum cans, but they're fantastic. Feature complete. They both do everything that they're supposed to do. It's not like a bunch of shit that they're talking about that doesn't exist in the game yet. Where is I don't know if I want to talk about the Cutlass Black and the Cutlass Red because they're really multi-role ships. Oh, here we go. This is the same thing as this. It's just got a paint job on it, and it's got a different weapon loadout like scatter guns. I'll put that. I think that's more like down here. Even though it's the same ship, it's much farther down, much farther, just because they kind of messed with the loadout to where it's less functional. But it's the same thing. I mean, you could literally buy the CF cannons and put it on there and make it the same as that. But and they charge you $10 more. And like some of this stuff's not in the game. Oh, here's another Titan, which is I just don't like them. I picked them up, I flew them, I changed the loadout, I spent a bunch in-game money on it trying to make it work. It just didn't. I was like, man, this is just a doo-doo experience. Oh, these are the problem with these is you can't they're going through, man. I just can't recommend these. They do a lot of damage. Problem is this is there's the Glade and the Sith, and they're supposed to be like, this is the light, and this is the medium, and there's a heavy version, and they're going through a model rework to where they're trying to make them more like this, and one of them you can't buy, and the other one, and they're real expensive. I just can't recommend them. I can't tell what this is. I think this is the Glade, but I can't tell what that is. It when I mouse over, did it say no? But I can't recommend the two bigger variants of this. They're gonna go through a rework. I mean, the flight model's good, but obviously they've. Oh, here's the wildfire variant of the Hornet. Look, what's sad is look how many variants of Hornets there are. There's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. So there's like $1,000 worth of busted low fidelity Hornets in the game. I mean, if they were to fix one, they could fix all variants of it. Like it makes such an impact on the game if they could fix this because there's so many variations of this ship. Like the biggest bang for their buck. What do we got here? Oh, this says Vanguard. It's such a weird looking flight model compared to these other ones because this is the same. These are the same. These are all the same ship. That's a weird. Like this is all the same. For another ship they made variations of. This fantastic, but we won't talk about that. We want to talk about single seat fighters is what we want to talk about. Let's look through here. Did we cover them all? Oh, here's another Titan. Can't recommend. Can't recommend. I mean, it's better than the Mustang, but not much. I like that fly by your seat of the pants. I mean, I'll actually another parasite fighter can't really recommend. What we got here? Did we get them all? As I look through these, it's sad because a lot of these are concept ships that don't exist in the game. Like they've been sitting on the table for like 10 years now, and they don't. We won't talk about the Cuddies. The Banu, the Defender, man. It's kind of gone through. It's such a unique experience. Such a unique experience. It's a little big on its hull size, but it's got a great level of fidelity. It's got a little bit more of that multi-role experience. It kind of falls into that same realm as the 300, as far as like you get to if you want to get out of your seat and drink some cruise Gatorade fluid, whatever, and then get back in the pilot seat. Does good damage. It has size 2 shields. It's kind of that medium level fighter, but it's they kind of refer to it as the crab, but it's a good. I would give it A. This is another one of those. This is an alien fire. You pay. What we're not talking about is the Talons. You pay for this. I'm gonna put this right here. I think the Saber's better. It's fantastic flight capability, low DPS. It's a very unique experience. I might pick one of these up. Yeah, I would say it's a B. Since let's talk about the Terrapin. I'm gonna put the Terrapin is not feature complete. It doesn't have the scan, but man, it's crazy how I'm gonna put this. It's not a fighter. I mean, it's got 2 lasers on the front. It used to have disruptors on the front, and we'll put it behind the Pisces. But what's crazy is it's got like 125,000 whole hit points, and then it's got size 2 shields. I wasn't paying attention, and I meteorited this into the planet, and it survived. I was like, what just happened? And all the armor was off of it, and it was like crispy orange, and I was able to get out and walk away. And it's got good level fidelity on the inside. It's got a bed. People used to run these with disruptors, and it would take so long to kill the ship that they could basically blast you with disruptors and stall you out before you could do this. It's got it's neat how it's got the VTOL. It's just expensive. And it's not I think once it becomes featured complete with the scan array, it'll be a great little ship. It has a lot of potential. Flight model's good. I like to run it for bunker missions because if they decide to turn on me, if you extend your time and you you extend your time and all of a sudden they start shooting at your ship, you can actually make it outside and get back on your ship and fly away before they blow up the ship. And also it's got enough hit points and shields to where you could actually dogfight the turrets on a bunker mission with this thing. So it's not a bad. It's not a bad. You know, it's probably about $50 too much, but it's not. It's not a bad ship. It's not a bad ship. Um, I'm looking through here. I'm looking through here because all of like this doesn't exist. 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 This is not in the game. This is a bike. This is wonderful. Not feature complete. Like I don't know. This is a whole nother discussion topic. Oh, all the Auroras. I don't can't believe I missed all. You know, we'll put all of these. These are all. I'd actually like to see them do a rework on these and kind of take a hard look at its purpose on the kind of revisit all of these because I don't know, man. Nobody's flying these things. Nobody's is using them. Maybe they're designed to be like doo-doo on purpose to get people into to spend money into other ships. I almost think maybe that's the purpose of it. Oh, here's the other Inferno. It's just the fidelity is phenomenal. Flight mechanics doo-doo. Can't hit nothing with a weapon. It's just a bad implementation of it. Multi-roll bikes, multi-roll. I think I got them all. I think I got them all in here. Drop ship, ambulance. I think we talked about them all. What am I missing? But I think that for your fighter, your bounty hunter fighter experience, I don't think I got them all. You know, because these other ones are kind of multi-role, and so I think that's a separate video. I think that really is a separate video to talk about and really, you know, like that's not in the game yet. And I know these are heavy fighters, but this is a heavy fighter. And I know I talked about starting out with light fighters, but kind of it feels the same bounty hunter role. I mean, it's supposed to be kill capital ships, but I mean, where are you going to come across capital ship in the game is through VHRTs or ERTs. I mean, ERTs, right? You're going to kill a hammerhead in an ERT, so it's still a bounty hunter ship. Multi-role. I feel like I'm missing one. Doesn't exist. What is this? Oh, I think this is the Glade. You can't get this. You used to be able to get it back when you did Pirate Swarm. Okay, if that's the Glade, then what is this? I don't know what this is. That's definitely the Glade with the wing. I don't know what this is. All right, folks. I hope you like this. I hope it gives some insight. You know, as always, this is my perspective. It's kind of how I feel about my view on the kind of the status of the ships and what I like and what I look for. You know, my first priority is always the flight model and how it handles and behaves. The second is the level of fidelity and immersion. The third is like ease of use and how easy it is to get in and out of, and the animations. Because sometimes the animations are painful. Like if they make you climb up a ladder to get to the cockpit, that's what it refers to. Like if you can just get into the cockpit and get out of the cockpit, and not have to go through for example, a good example of this is the new Vulture. They make you climb that ladder every time you want to go to the back to move the cargo crate and then climb the ladder to go to the seat. It's just a pain in the ass and it's brutal. You know, so that's what I'm talking about there. Just how it is to live with the ship, and then the functionality and cargo and like can you put food in it? You know, can you get out of the seat and drink some fluid without having to land the ship and get out of the ship and go into a building in order to drink some fluid, right? Like some of these ships, like, you know, with the Sabre, you can't do that. But with the 300i, you just get out of the seat, drink some fluid, and then you're good to go, and you sit back down in the seat. Where here, you have to land on a space station and then get out of the space station or a mining station and then go inside, take your helmet off, drink your fluid, right? So you can see how in a lot of ways, this is a much better experience and functionality and ease of use, even though this might do a little 10% more damage and have a little 10% more survivability. This is just much nicer to live with. You know, like this has a bed, so if your character's bugged out and you sit down in the seat and you can't get the access controls to work, and, you know, you can always like just land the ship, log out, log back in, you're in your ship, and then sit down in your seat and everything works. Where here you have to go to a space station and do the whole elevator simulator game in order to get where I'm going with this. But capability wise, it's just a little bit better. All right, folks. I hope you like this. I hope this gives insight. You know, please like and subscribe. Feedback is always welcome. And as always, this is my own, you know, perspective. All right. Thanks for watching.